95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the iFormula League Formula 3 Series, as we are here for round number 11. One more race left to go after tonight in the season, as we are here today at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada. And my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today. 1080p 60 frames a second as we get ourselves ready for what will be some exciting racing here today. If my experience on this track, in past experiences here, are anything to go by, I think it is going to be a phenomenal day of racing, not only for us spectating, but for these drivers here as well. As currently open qualifying underway, drivers going to put in the best time that they possibly can here, as we're seeing practically the entirety of the field out at the moment, with the exception of a couple drivers here at the moment. Alex Rivera, Jeff Schroeder going to be amongst some of those drivers here at the moment. But we can see already drivers making their way across the line here for their first flying lap of our 25-minute qualifying, and already seeing a little bit of racing already before we even take to the green flag for both our feature race and sprint race here today. And for today's event, we will have a 28-lap Grand Prix followed by a 7-lap sprint. So a lot of racing to be seen here today, and I hope that all of you are excited for the action here today. And we've got a Pete in the chat. Yeah, looks to be so. So far, we're still waiting for the first driver to make their way across the line and officially put in a time that the stewards are going to be satisfied with, without any off-track incidents or anything of that nature. Now, so far it seems like Jack Clark is the first driver to come across the line here, a full lap, but it does not appear that we have an official time being set here by the 197 machine, but we will see James Miller here coming across the line in the number 9 machine with a 130.064. As tires start to heat up, and these drivers start to get some rubber down here, these times will start to decrease ever so slightly here as they get themselves settled in for this rather long qualifying that drivers have here today, a full 25 minutes that they're able to utilize here. So essentially, if you will, you could almost consider it a short sprint if in that regard. With if you utilize the full 25 minutes, you can put in quite a few laps here. But right now, it seems to be James Miller at the top of qualifying here at the moment with a 130.06, and the next closest driver, Marian Barbaro in the 13 machine, going to be with a 130.53, and 0.4 of a second behind him is Frank Beezer in the number 61. So for Team Noxie Motorsports, off to a good start here already, as James Miller off in the front of the field. Frank Beezer going to be here with Beezer Racing Team, going to have a good start here to qualifying, but let's see if he's going to be able to hold that position here in the next, obviously, 20 minutes that we have remaining in qualifying. We obviously see the field shift around quite a bit, and there it is from James Miller a 129.650, as the next best time to be set around the track, and his teammate Jake Potts comes across the line with a 129.927. And there it is from Alex Johnson, the 196, and you could almost consider James Millaire's rival, if you will, here in the series, as Jake Potts gets a little bit too far to the right side coming out of the chicane. Yeah, that is a very tricky spot. Well, I don't even want to say tricky spot, but it is a very easy spot to carry a little bit too much momentum through and make that exact mistake. It's a very, very deceiving part of the track here. If I do recall, that is going to be turns 8 and 9, if I'm not mistaken here. So anyway, anyhow, James Miller obviously at the top of the pole at the moment, with Alex Johnson in second, Jake Potts in third, Marian Barbaro taking fourth, and Frank Beezer in that fifth place spot here at the moment. Rachel Jimenez with a 130.64 moves her way up into fifth for the number 67 machine in Lumos E Motorsports. I believe it was Lumos E Motorsports. I hope I'm saying that right. Yes, I was saying that right. Perfect. But still, at the moment, James Miller holding it by just a 1/10 of a second here for the pole position. And Alex Johnson's very, very close to being able to crack into that 129.5 range that James Miller is currently sitting in. But we'll see if anyone else is going to be able to respond to that time here as well. We've seen in the past, if we go back and look at last week's results, for the American Grand Prix, where in qualifying we had Alex Johnson at the very tippy top of it all, Rachel Jimenez coming away in second place, and Victor Solona in third, with Alex Rivera in fourth place, and Jake Potts taking fifth, and James Miller actually being in sixth place last time around. And that was for qualifying as well, so we might see a little bit of the same here today, where some drivers' qualifying pace may outshine their race pace here today in either the Grand Prix or the Sprint. And it also just depends on how well race starts go for a lot of these drivers. I mean, we've seen it a lot in the past where, it's things that are out of the driver's control, whether it's making contact with someone that, they're just too close to one another. There's a lot of different scenarios that you can come up with, but at the end of the day, I think it's very interesting to see how different the pace can be for drivers depending on the situation, if you will. So, obviously, a lot of it is a mental game, but that is what makes a great driver great, is being able to work through those mental games and being able to overcome them. And I can say for certain that myself as a sim racer, there's definitely a lot of things that I still have yet to overcome, but over time we will get there one day. But right now, what I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here for James Miller, Alex Johnson, and also Jake Potts, who's managed to work his way into the top three here as well. Noxie Motorsports really has been on a hot streak in the past few races. For the Grand Prix in the American Grand Prix last week, James Miller coming away in second place for the Grand Prix itself, and in the Sprint, things got shaken up quite a bit, where James didn't have quite as good of luck this time around in the Sprint, but his teammates, if I'm not mistaken, actually no, it was a rough restart for the Sprint race as well. I could have swore it was the other way around, but either way, for the Grand Prix itself, James Miller, Alexander Rivera both coming away in second and third place. here for the Grand Prix. And locking out the top 3 like that is a very, very good thing to see. 4 points. As right now, for Noxie Motorsports, they hold the team championship lead by 83 points with 560 points to their name. In 10 Sim Racing, with drivers Alex Johnson, Jeff Schroeder, and John Journey, 477 points in second place. Third place is Get Good Racing with Victor Solona, Marian Barbaro, and Jack Clark, with 322 points, 238 points behind the leaders of Noxie Motorsports. So at the moment, it is going to be a rather interesting fight in the last couple races that we have here, this one included, between Noxie Motorsports and Intend Sim Racing. My apologies for that. But for Noxie Motorsports, they really need to have a good day here and also going into next week, which realistically for Noxie Motorsports, they've had quite a few good weeks in the past few races that we've seen them in. And whether or not they're coming away with wins or locking out the top 3, it's not necessarily about coming away and locking out, the podium and so on and so forth. Ultimately, it's coming away with as best finishes as you can, whether it's in top 10, top 5, top 3 obviously is great, but that's not always the way things work out. So Noxie Motorsports and Jake Potts here, among many other drivers here, finding themselves just trying to find the right line, the right limit for these cars. And if my memory serves me right, this is one of those tracks that just has some very interesting sections that can really make or break your race if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention, and if you're just not consistent, which is a huge factor that will play a part in today's race. While this isn't exactly the biggest circuit that we have on the schedule by any stretch of the imagination, this is, I would say, maybe a little bit more technical than what it would seem to be. To the unsuspecting eye, it doesn't really seem all that technical until you actually get out on track and start to race on it. It is definitely got some interesting parts to it that I think will challenge many drivers. Whether or not that's going to challenge them here tonight, I don't think we'll see that. But for any new driver out there that is looking to get into Formula 3 or racing in general, you gotta keep a lookout for those sleeper tracks. That, here we go, Alex Johnson showing even the best of the best make mistakes too. Alex Johnson there just taking it a little bit too hot out of the exit of the final chicane there. And that's another common mistake that can be made here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Another interesting part here that Alex just made the exit out of there, where pit road has the exit at as well, is that first turn that we have here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. That is one part of the track here as well, where if you're not careful on the throttle, which a lot of drivers, they want to go fast through that turn, they want to try and carry as much momentum as they can through there, but oftentimes what ends up happening is that you get on the throttle just a little bit too much, and that spins the tires and away you go. Let's actually take a moment here. I want to ride on board with one of our drivers and just give you folks at home a lap on board with one of our drivers, and let's see who is the closest to the end of the track here. Let's ride on board with Marian Barbaro, the number 13 machine, and see just what it is going to be like here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Canada. Not too far away from, well, I don't want to say that. It is still a little ways away, but probably one of the closest large tracks that are near myself, I will say. Right there, and you could for the eagle-eyed among you, you probably could see the tire marks on the wall there through that first chicane that Marian just went through, and through kind of another elongated chicane that he's working his way through right now. Down a long straight, heading into one of many chicanes here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I believe if I can, let's see if I can count them all here. 4 total. As he heads through the hairpin of turn number 10. Through the long straight, heading down to the final chicane and in across the checkered line. Very easy to overshoot it here, and yep, that's exactly what it looks like when that happens. Both of your right side tires end up smacking the wall, and oftentimes it ends up damaging the car quite a bit. It is not a good thing to experience for the car, and it does not drive very well after that either. So I'm not certain if Marian is hearing it from his pit crew that he's got damage or something's wrong with the car. I'm more than certain that something's definitely not feeling too great with it at the moment. Maybe it was a lighter tap than what it looked like on screen, but either way, if he did walk away without too much damage from that, that's probably the most that you can do here in the iRacing service without actually breaking the car in some kind of manner. And again, I do believe that Marian potentially did do some damage to the side of that 13 machine. I'm not exactly certain what it would be here at this point. Very, very close here for Andy Ray Miller. The 333 machine cutting it very close to the wall there, but that is what it is like to be fast here on this circuit. You got to carry it right to the very, very edge in a lot of these turns, and there's not a whole lot of room, runoff room for these cars either in a majority of these turns. Andy Ray Miller cutting it very close to the first chicane here as well, or it's rather second chicane, if you will. And so far, now that we've actually looked away for a little bit and we didn't actually notice it, or rather I didn't notice it, Alex Johnson, the 196 machine, with a 129.46, his last time by, actually setting the fastest lap here, able to get ahead of James Miller, who has not been able to get his way out of the 129.5 for region. That's kind of where he's been stuck at ever since he set that lap. But Alex Johnson here showing he is right on the very, very edge of his pace here at the moment, getting all sorts of wobbly there through the first on the exit of the first chicane. Just taking a ride on board with a roll bar camera here, just seeing if we can see potentially just a little bit of an error there from the 196 driver, but seems to be a-okay here and looking very, very quick out here today. Great laps here from Alex Johnson in the 196 machine. James Miller still in that second place spot with only just under 6 minutes left to go here in qualifying. Right now it stands Alex Johnson, James Miller, Jake Potts in your top three, Marian Barbaro, Andy Ray Miller rounding out the top five, Rachel Jimenez, Victor Solona, Jeff Schroeder, Frank Beezer, and Arturo Mayorga going to be in the top five here at the moment. Oh boy, Randolph Smith here, the 37 machine, having to bring it back down into pit road after a little bit of a mishap. Andy Ray Miller here as well, having some struggles here in qualifying, but none too surprising to myself, as again, given the times that I have taken a car here, and I'm pretty sure I've raced the F3s here as well. There's usually a lot of that going on, so not too surprised of that one. Watching there with Tristan Marshall for just a moment as we tune back over to Jeff Schroeder, the number 73 driver, and just getting an idea, getting a look at what some of the other drivers' laps are starting to look like here in the later half of qualifying. And this is also a really good perspective. Again, this is, given the number of laps that most drivers have turned here, a lot of the field have turned well over 10 laps here in qualifying. So again, this is more or less a sprint race in of itself for the drivers, a lone sprint race, so you could almost consider it. So this is going to give us a really good idea of what the pace is going to be for a lot of drivers. Now, this isn't going to be necessarily the pace of the whole race. Did not mean for that to rhyme, but my point being is that this is more or less what we could potentially see from drivers once they get a little bit of clean air around them, once they're not fighting with other drivers around them, because frankly, once you get to that point, once you're fighting with other drivers around you, it slows down your pace quite significantly. Until you're able to get around them and get into some clean air, things are going to be rather dicey for some time. Randy Ray Miller going to drop down into pit road here as, again, qualifying winding down to an end here. Only a few drivers remaining out here on track. James Molaire, Alex Johnson, Marian Barbaro, Mikel Stenerud going to be the remaining drivers out here on track with only 2 minutes remaining. This is the last opportunity they're going to have to improve their time, if they're able to at all. James Molaire taking the shortcut. Oh, that was fantastic. James Molaire just boating the question, what chicane? Anyway, just under a minute left here in qualifying. Alex Johnson, Marian Barbaro, the last drivers out here on track, and it looks to be Marian's going to bring it to a stop here just before the line, and Alex Johnson here as well. Both drivers all now going to be back down in the pits. Just awaiting for essentially the checkered flag to fly here and get ourselves ready for our 28-lap Grand Prix here today. right, there it is. The checkered flag is out. And we move on into our our heat. Oh, boy. We move on to our Grand Prix here today as we grid up and get ourselves ready for the start of today's main event with Alex Johnson, James Miller up in the front row, Jake Potts, Marian Barbaro in the second row, Andy Ray Miller and Rachel Jimenez going to be in our third row, Victor Solona, Jeff Schroeder in the fourth row, Frank Beezer, John Journey in the fifth row, Arturo Mayorga, Randolph Smith going to be in the sixth row. Moving on down the lineup, we have Tristan Marshall, Jacob Beezer in the seventh row, Mikael Stenerud in Jack Clark going to be in the eighth row, Nick Marshall, Alex Rivera in the ninth row, and Justin Pasori and Weston Epps going to be in our final row here today. Rounding out the field and getting ourselves ready to go for the start of today's main event. 28 laps that we will see here for our feature event. For our Grand Prix, I should say. Round number 11 here with the iFormula League Formula 3 Series, the Canadian Grand Prix about to take underway. Just a few seconds remaining before we see those 5 red lights count away, and we see the green flag drop here for the first time, and we will go to racing and see who will come away victorious today and who will potentially bring the team championship even closer or even farther apart. And as far as the Drivers' Championship goes, as long as Alex Johnson continues to do what he's been doing, I don't think he is going to have much of an issue, but only 100 points separates him from James Miller in second place. And here we go, folks. The 5 red lights. 3, 2, 1, and away we go. Here yet again in a rough start here towards the back of the field, it seems to be, but heading off straight into turn number 1. Let's see how the front of the field is going to take the long right-hander that we have here. Let's head up to the blimp and see if we can get a better picture of what this is going to end up as. So far, so smooth, I believe, for the majority of this field. It looks to be rather calm. A couple stragglers towards the back of towards the tail end of the field, but hopefully they'll be able to catch their way back up towards the pack here as things progress on. Nick Marshall, Alex Rivera, going to be a little side-by-side action. Randolph Smith, Mikael Stenerud going to be involved in an incident here through the second chicane, and it seems to be both of them are going to walk away from this one. Mikael going to be the one suffering the most damage, it looks like, or at least the most. Oh boy, it only gets worse here. Mikael completely missing this front end. The front wing is absolutely gone here. I think actually you can see the pedals. That is something you don't see every day. Whoa, Jack Clark facing the wrong direction here. Luckily able to avoid anyone else out on track here, but let's go back to the action and see just how things are unfolding up here towards the front of the field as things progress on. Alex Johnson off to a phenomenal start here, with James Miller only just under a second behind Alex Johnson here at the moment. And hopefully for James Miller, he's able to bring that down a little bit further as we're watching now the battle between Jeff Schroeder and Andy Ray Miller. Andy Ray Miller going to be fighting with Team Maxwell Racing. And in the 333 machine, currently sitting in 7th place, his teammates Arturo Mayorga as well as Randy Smith. Arturo going to be in 9th at the moment, and Randy Smith, I don't believe, Randolph Smith down in 16th here at the moment. So hopefully we'll see some improvement there for their team and hopefully secure some more points for themselves. More action continuing throughout this field here. Let's actually ride on board here with Alex Rivera. the 222 machine. Alex Rivera gonna be fighting with Team Noxie Motorsports as we head down the long back straight towards the final chicane. Absolutely butter smooth. Great work there from Alex Rivera, making it look absolutely easy. And folks, I can't stress to you enough how difficult it actually is to do things like that. But Andy Ray Miller, however, the 333 machine, having a little bit of trouble here just behind all of that. I'm not entirely certain how that one unfolded here, but we've got a couple different incidents that we can go back and take a look at. Let's go back and take a look at the first incident involving Mikkel Stenerud. Quick instant replay here, looking at the number 19 machine. Oh man, just gets right in front of the 37 of Randolph Smith. Continues on, loses his rear wing. Gets interlocked with the number 93 there for just a second. Continues down the track. Oh, the stewards are going to have a field day with this one, I do think. This is not looking good for Mikkel. Locks it up, bends it into the front wall, and now it just looks... wow. Not a good day here for Mikkel. Still out here on track, and he's looking like he's gotten into the spare car here for the number 19 machine, and looking to be a little bit better now that things have settled out here a little bit. And you know what, folks? Sometimes that's how racing goes. Sometimes you just have an absolutely horrid day, and it just nothing goes the way that you plan it to. So hopefully Mikkel has a little bit of a better race here and can continue to put down some good laps here. But unfortunately, it does look like he's going to be... no, he's still on the... I think he's still on the lead lap. Just about. Technically, yes, he's still on the lead lap. Okay, well... as we're watching Arturo Mayorga, we've got a little bit of action developing between Alex Rivera and John Journey. John Journey going to be with Team Intend Sim Racing. Alex Rivera again with Team Noxie Motorsports. Looks like Alex Rivera making the move around the inside. The 222 machine going to move up ahead and into 7th place here. And Alex Rivera, I mean, we got to give a mention here to Alex. He has done an absolutely incredible job here in today's race. Up 11 spots from where he started into 7th place. Great race here for Alex Rivera, and overall for Team Noxie Motorsports. James Millard, Jake Potts, Alex Rivera, all three of these drivers are within the top 10, and 2 of them are in the top 3 here today. So both of them are I would have to say, are having a fantastic day here at Circuit Giles Vanove. Alex Johnson and Team Intend Sim Racing are also starting to have a good day here as well. Not that they weren't having a bad one to begin with. Jeff Schroeder sitting in 6th place, John Journey in 8th place, and Alex Johnson obviously leading the race at the moment. So, you know, again, these two teams, only 83 points are separating these two from that Constructors' Championship, and only one race after tonight will determine who is going to walk away with that championship. And for Alex Johnson, again, he's only got to continue doing what he's been doing in the past few races that we've watched with Alex Johnson to be able to secure that Drivers' Championship as well. Now, whether or not we are going to see some, you know, I don't think we're going to see anything wild happen here for, you know, battles or anything like that. I think it's going to be a lot of fair fighting, a lot of fair racing overall, and I think that's what a lot of these drivers expect and look for in this series. As a little bit of wheel contact between, I think that was Tristan Marshall and Andy Ray Miller. Excuse me. Just give it a little bit of a bump to the wheel there, but no harm, no foul, nothing else coming of it. And ultimately, both drivers are able to keep racing here at the moment. But I want to ride on board here with Arturo Mayorga, the number 2 driver with Team Maxwell Racing here in 9th place at the moment, and his teammate Andy Ray Miller just behind him in 10th place. As they work their way through the first turns, heading into the short straight to the first chicane here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve. And again, this is one of those spots on the track where it's very easy to get into that wall and bang up your right wheels and suspension and all of the other components that come along with it. But Arturo Mayorga doing a phenomenal job here, keeping things clean and green here, as we like to say, for our oval racing. But Andy Ray Miller making the move up into 9th here, and I think possibly a little bit of teamwork being played into this one here as well, because it didn't seem like either one of them were really kind of fighting for position there. It definitely looked like there was a bit of team effort being played there, communication being played out to allow them to make a move, allow the faster driver to move up ahead, and it looks like Andy Ray Miller is quickly moving up this field here, and let's see what the pace is going to look like for him at the moment. So we can take a look at Andy Ray Miller's sector times here today and kind of compare them to John Journey, who's just ahead of them. So we can see Andy Ray Miller going to be a little bit slower in Sector 1, but really picking up the pace here in Sector 3, and not quite as much in Sector 2. But again, John Journey's showing very, very good times here in the first sector here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve. The 31 driver able to keep up ahead just by a little bit, but Andy Ray Miller, according to timing and scoring, really showing he is going to make a move here soon, and I think probably here in the next few turns. Let's ride on board with the helmet camera of the 333 driver and just get a little bit of a better look at what that's going to look like here. Moves on to the right inside into the final, well, into the hairpin, I should say, not the final turn, but onto the final straight is an accurate term to use here as they approach the last chicane. And Andy Ray Miller again showing some very, very good speed here in the 333 machine as they make their way into the last chicane. And again, another spot where you can make an error and get yourself into that wall. John Journey going to stay right on the heels of the 333 machine, the closest battle that we have out here on track at the moment. Oh! Not ideal here. John Journey, we've got a car upside down. Quickly brings it back down into pit road. Andy Ray Miller, John Journey, both involved in this incident. We're going to go back and take a quick look at the replay here between these two, as we tuned into the front wing camera of Andy Ray Miller, or excuse me, John Journey there just a little bit too soon, and they just clip tires, and there it goes. John Journey just gets flipped right on around. Andy Ray Miller now going to be missing that rear wing, which frankly is probably going to be, well, probably going to split the downforce. I wouldn't say in half, but it probably feel like it. Side-by-side action as we tune back to the live screen here. Jacob Beezer, Arturo Mayorga, Tristan Marshall all in a pack here. The battle for 8th place taking place as they scream down the long straight heading to the final chicane here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve. Tristan Marshall going to be up ahead. Jacob Beezer right behind. He cuts through the chicane. Tristan Marshall gets into the wall. Beezer slows down to give up the position, and Tristan Marshall moves up ahead. This is quite a series of events that we have just played out in front of us. And probably not the ideal way that these drivers want to have this battle played out, but unfortunately, that is the way things go sometime. But Arturo Mayorga, Tristan Marshall, oh boy! Marshall gets spun around in not the best of positions on track either. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh gosh. Justin Pastore, a helpless victim in this incident, and more drivers trying to avoid it. Tristan Marshall trying to get that car going again, and it's done for. It is done for. Oh, that car just sounds horrible. Oh, man. Justin Pastore absolutely annihilated in this one. We've got to go back and look at this one. We're watching Tristan Marshall here, and there's the slide. Gets spun around, stops it, is able to stop it before hitting the wall, but this is where the mistake happens. Justin Pastore, nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. I mean, frankly, folks, if this was a real-life setting, this kind of incident, I mean, this would... Let's just take a look here in slow motion. You know, he's trying everything. He's looking left, he's looking right, and boom! Just, it's awful. And you can't really blame Tristan all that much. I mean, well, you can blame Tristan because that was a tough place to be in on the track, and really you gotta do your best to avoid other drivers out on track. But man, oh man, I think overall, I think that was a tough break for each driver. Both drivers involved, just a extremely tough break. But meanwhile, just up ahead in the front of the pack here, we're now starting to see Alex Johnson and James Miller close in on one another. James Miller closing in on the number 196 driver, and we're riding on board the front wing of the number 9 machine of the Noxie Motorsports driver, James Miller, as he's just trying to inch away at that gap between himself and Alex Johnson. We're on lap 11 of 28 here, and I do have to think that we are getting close to that pit window for a lot of drivers here. Oh boy, Jake Potts, the Noxie Motorsports driver, having a little bit of trouble here on the final exit, on the final turn, heading into that wall again, that same spot that we've seen many drivers have that same issue in. It looks like John Journey having a similar issue as well. But again, back to my point here at the moment, we're expecting to see drivers to come back down, or to come down into pit road here before too long, and it looks like Randolph Smith may have just made a bit of contact there through the on the exit of the hairpin there to the wall. And again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, folks, this is not a very wide track. There's a good amount of room to work with for drivers to get side by side with one another. But as far as runoff space, oh boy, and this is a perfect example of it. Randolph Smith just glancing that wall. There's just not a whole lot of room to work with for corner exits and things of that nature. It is a very tight circuit in that regard. So if you make a mistake, it is going to cost you dearly. Seeing a little bit of action develop here towards the back of the field with John Journey and Tristan Marshall. John Journey, who's been involved in a few different incidents here already tonight, finding himself trying to work back through the field and try and improve his positions here. But John Journey still in 16th at the moment and going to be down 6 spots from where he started in 10th place here at the beginning of today's event. Here we see Alex Rivera, Jeff Schroeder as well, both going to be starting a little bit of a battle here for the 6th place position as they close in on one another here as well. So we'll take a ride on board here for just a short moment with Alex Rivera, the current highest mover and shaker in the field, going to be up 11 spots from where he started at the very beginning of today's event, up here into 7th place. So Alex doing a phenomenal job here in today's race, for not only for himself but for his team, having just a very good day here in Canada. So we're taking a look back here towards the midfield. Arturo Mayorga, Jacob Beezer, both going to be side by side with one another. Almost wheel to wheel as they go through the hairpin. Jacob Beezer able to carry a little bit more speed on the exit, as Arturo having to take the shorter line. Not able to carry as much speed through the turn, but able to now get right on the rear wing, carry the draft into the last chicane here. Arturo going to be on the inside. He's going to have the inside line advantage. No, he doesn't. Jacob Beezer gets out ahead of him and is clean through. And across the checkered line, holds on to 8th place. Arturo continuing the fight, going to try and take it into turn 1. Gonna stay right on the heels here. He has to stay as close as he possibly can. You don't want to lose the gap, but it's also very easy to do so. One mistake turns into another, and it turns into another, and it cascades from there. But so far, with it being lap 15, and with it looks like Nick Marshall being potentially the first driver to come into pit road. It looks like Andy Ray Miller came in lap 13. But Andy Ray Miller might have came in for different reasons now that I see the front of his machine. But I know that Andy Ray Miller was involved in a few different incidents here earlier, so not too long ago, I should say. So I think Nick Marshall might be the first official pit stop of today's race. Rachel Jimenez is going to come down into pit road along with Jeff Schroeder as well. So I think that is the cue for these drivers to grab tires and fuel as well. As we see also a few other retirees down there in the pits, whether they are awaiting repairs from earlier incidents or they have just decided that they probably don't want to race anymore for the rest of the remainder of this race and just want to watch it from the pits, which either or I think is fine in that regard. Rachel Jimenez, Jeff Schroeder, both going to find themselves in a little bit of a battle here as well for the 8th place position. Rachel Jimenez showing, actually Jeff Schroeder a little faster at the moment, but whether or not Jeff Schroeder is going to be able to capitalize on that pace difference as a little bit of an error there from Jeff, and that's going to cause him to slow down just a little bit. But back up towards the front of the pack, Alex Johnson, James Miller, they take it down into pit road, and that will be our leaders here down in the pits, and going to be the mad dash to the finish as there's only 12 laps remaining in today's race. Jake Potts, the 41 driver and fellow Noxie Motorsports driver of James Miller, going to take the lead and stay out another lap before he makes his way down into pit road, and Alex Rivera as well, also still out here on track. Going to take it another lap around. James Miller, Alex Johnson. Oh, no. James Miller, big trouble for the number 9 driver, and this is not what you want to see happen, especially right as you exit pit road. And folks, I mean, this is one of those things that can happen here on this circuit many times. The pit road exit here on this track is just atrocious. Well, I don't even want to say that. It's not that it's bad. It's just, you know what? It's bad. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is about the service or the track surface itself. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just, there's a lot of times when you're exiting this pit road that it just feels like absolute glass. When you try and carry any sort of speed out of it and try and speed up on the exit of it, it's atrocious, as the kids do say. Anyways, and I'm sure that there's a lot of different reasons for it as well. I'm sure it's track temperature related. I'm sure it's just there's not a whole lot of rubber down in that section of the track, so on and so forth. There's a multitude of reasons for it, but ultimately at the end of the day, it just feels all kinds of weird. Anyhow, James Miller takes it back down into pit road yet again, and I think he's going to be in there for quite some time. I don't think, well, actually, maybe not. He might have a fast repair up his sleeve that he can utilize, as Jake Potts is back out on track, just exiting pit road. The 41 machine holding on into second place here at the moment. So there is a good potential here, as there it is. James Miller, the pit crew, very quick, already down there in the pit box with the new wing ready to reattach it. So good work here for the number 9 and for the Noxie Motorsports team. For the pit crew, they did a great job there getting that car back out onto track. Rachel Jimenez, Jeff Schroeder continue the battle, but Jeff Schroeder having swapped places with the number 73, or excuse me, with the number 67 driver, and Rachel now going to be on the hunt here yet again. And folks, I mean, a lot of times that is what it takes here for some drivers to kind of get into that mental state where you got to go faster. You want to go faster. You're trying to push your limits even further. You got to be in that chase mode, or you got to have someone in front of you or someone chasing you, something along those lines. Alex Rivera, Jeff Schroeder. 4th and 5th place here at the moment. The 222 machine gonna be just up ahead and currently still the fastest mover and shaker in the field. 14 positions from where he started here tonight, all the way from 18th into 4th. A phenomenal day here for Alex Rivera and for his team, who all three of them doing a fantastic job, and all three of them almost, well, they're all in the top 5, but ever so close to the ever so elusive top 3, as Alex Johnson is able to build up quite the distance between himself and the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Jeff Schroeder, Rachel Jimenez both going to duke it out side by side. Schroeder on the inside through the hairpin, and Rachel Jimenez is going to have to stay right on the rear wing if she can, down the long straight, heading into the final chicane, where hopefully she can close that gap here once again and stay on the fight here for the battle for 5th place. And it looks like Jeff Schroeder trying to do everything in his power to break up some of that air around him, as he's tracking down Alex Rivera, trying to see what he can possibly do here. As we look out the rear wing of the number 222 machine, so as these three continue their battle here for what could be considered 4th place, just under 8 laps left to go here before we see the checkered flag of our Grand Prix event. With Rachel Jimenez and Jeff Schroeder being some of the closest battles that we have on track at the moment, and really not a whole lot of mistakes being made here in the final closing laps of the race, if you will. Drivers really locking themselves in here and just looking to close things out here, it seems to be. And I suppose while they do that, let's have a ride on board with Marian Barbaro chasing along with Arturo Mayorga, and just get a little bit of a look at the sights and sounds here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Just a ride on board there with Mari and Barbaro as there is just under 4 laps left to go here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for round number 11 of the iFormula League Formula 3 Series. And once today's race is over, the next track that we head to next week will be Interlagos. Well, where it will be the final race of the season, and we will determine who will take away the team championship, the constructors championship, I should say, as well as the drivers championship as well. But right now, today, it looks like it's going to be a good day for intense sim racing as Alex Johnson looks to take away a win here for the Grand Prix. But Jake Potts, Alex Miller, Alex Rivera for Team Noxie Motorsports looking to secure the points here for the team, the Constructors Championship here today for the Grand Prix as they sit second, third, and fourth. And right now, it does not look like they have any challengers in their wake, so I think they might be able to take it away with quite a dominating points lead here going into our sprint race. Again, only 7 laps that we will see for the sprint here today. So with 2 laps left to go here at the moment, Alex Johnson, Jake Potts, James Miller, all in your top 3 here at the moment. And only just a few minutes left before we see that checkered flag fly here for our Grand Prix here in Canada. And after a fantastic bit of racing that we've had here today, it took a while for things to settle out, but once it did, it was pretty much game time for the drivers to get themselves strapped in and click off some clean and consistent laps, which we've seen all race long. It has been a tough thing to do so. Not exactly an easy track that we have here. Well, I wouldn't say it's a super difficult track, but I wouldn't say it's it's the easiest track that you could race on either. Just given the few different slip-ups, the few different errors, and a lot of restraints as far as how wide this track is in certain areas, it definitely makes makes racing here very interesting at times. as Alex Johnson working his way through the final half of the track here to come across the line and bring us the white flag, the final lap of today's race here for the Canadian Grand Prix, as we gear up and get ourselves ready to head into the sprint race, where we'll see Alex Johnson, Jake Potts, James Miller, the top 12 see an inverted start, and potentially see Jack Clark and Nick Marshall up there in the front row. So with the white flag out here, the final time for drivers to turn a lap here, and the final time for anyone to make anything, to try anything that they can if they want to, but I don't think there's really going to be much that anyone's going to be able to pull off here. Marian Barbaro, Jacob Beezer, the two closest out on track here at the moment, as these two come across the checkered line. They're going to be working on their final lap here of the race. And Alex Johnson just about to the final chicane, where he will come across the line, and he will bring home the win for himself and Team Intend Sim Racing and gear up for the sprint race here today. Alex Johnson bringing it to a stop there as he brings home the win here. And Jacob Beezer, Marian Barbaro, they're both going to have a final duke out, a final drag race to the end as they come down the back straight, or the final straight, I should say. Here goes Jacob Beezer across the line, takes it for 7th place, Marian Barbaro in 8th. And now the remainder of the field making their way across the checkered line and finishing things out here today. So we see Tristan Marshall come across the line, and the final driver to make their way across the checkered line here today. So let's get a look at our post-race results. So here it is. Alex Johnson coming away with the win. Jake Potts in 2nd. James Miller in 3rd. Alex Rivera in 4th. Jeff Schroeder in 5th. Rachel Jimenez in 6th. Jacob Beezer in 7th. Marian Barbaro in 8th. Arturo Mayorga in 9th. And Frank Beezer going to be in 10th place here today. And so with drivers having a little bit of time to warm up here, just a few minutes to be exact here, let's see if we can have a quick moment. Actually, on second thought, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, folks, and we'll just enjoy the sights and sounds here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve, and we will be back in just a few short minutes. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more of the Formula 3 iFormula League here on iRacing. Alrighty, folks, coming back to the action here, getting ourselves ready to go here yet again for our sprint race here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve. 7 laps of exciting racing that we will see here today. As the checkered flag waves here for our short warm-up session that drivers have, and we get ourselves ready to go for our sprint race here, and let's go ahead and run through our grid as quickly as possible. Jack Clark, Nick Marshall in front row, Frank Beezer, Arturo Mayorga in the second row, Marian Barbaro, Jacob Beezer in the third row, Rachel Jimenez, Jeff Schroeder in the fourth row, Alex Rivera, James Molera in the fifth row, Jake Potts, Alex Johnson in the sixth row. Moving on down the grid here, Tristan Marshall, Andy Ray Miller in the seventh row, Randolph Smith, John Journey in the eighth row, Justin Pasori, Mikhail Stinnerud in the ninth row, Weston Epps rounding out the field here today as we get ourselves ready to go once again here at Circuit Giles Villeneuve for our sprint race. For round number 11 of the iFormula League Formula 3 Series. The The Canadian Grand Prix has already been an exciting one. Let's see if the sprint race is going to be much the same here as the red lights prepare to go out here. 3, 2, and away we go yet again. Jack Clark off to a good start here, able to build up a little bit of a gap here between himself and the rest of the field. We've got Arturo Mayorga off in the grass there, but more trouble here. Multiple drivers off. James Miller, Jake Potts, two of the Noxie Motorsports drivers finding themselves in quite a bit of trouble here. Frank Beezer, meanwhile, up at the front of the field, going to take the helm, take the lead. Rachel Jimenez going to be in second. Marian Barbaro in third. More drivers getting single file here, trying to find some room to work with here. Jeff Schroeder looks to the inside of Marian Barbaro as they go through the second chicane. More exciting action as develops around this field. And frankly, it is becoming quite impossible to keep up with it all, as multiple drivers finding themselves off in various parts of the track here, but trying to keep up with the front of the pack and seeing how this is going to play out here. A 7-lap mad dash that we will have. A couple drivers getting pushed off there through the hairpin, as we see Alex Johnson also trying to work his way up through this pack here. The 196 driver already into 5th place, and with having James Miller and company already out, pretty much out of the picture here. James Miller down in pit road after suffering quite a bit too much damage. 3 wide though as we come down the long straight heading into the final chicane. Not quite enough room for some drivers. They interlock wheels, then they go up and around. It is trouble here for Jacob Beezer. He's stopped right in the middle of the track. Tristan Marshall gets contact from it. Gets spun around facing the wrong direction here on the track. It is a tough start here for a lot of drivers. Marian Barbaro now takes the lead. Alex Rivera in second. Rachel Jimenez going to be in third. As action continues to develop here on the racetrack, John Journey, Jake Potts being some of the closest action that we have. As I say that, teammates Jeff Schroeder and Alex Johnson both going to close in here to one another and see if they can push up to the rest of the pack. Frank Beezer going to be up ahead of them in 4th place at the moment, and I'm sure that for Frank Beezer, he is probably going to be wondering what he's going to possibly do to keep these two drivers off of him at the moment, as there they go. Jeff Schroeder, good move around Frank Beezer up into 4th place. Now it's Alex Johnson's turn potentially to make that same move happen. Alex Johnson going to be right on the rear wing of the number 61, and there he goes to the outside, or what will be the inside, heading into the chicane here. Let's see if Alex Johnson, yep, he's going to beat him right to it. Frank Beezer works his way through the chicane without trouble here as well, and ultimately I think that's the goal for all of these drivers at the end of the day, is ensuring that they have a good and clean race. Jake Potts, Randolph Smith, the Maxwell Racing driver, as well as Noxie Motorsports driver, duking it out here. Lap 3 of 7, only a few short laps left before we see that checkered flag here once again. Jeff Schroeder, Alex Johnson continuing to work their way up to the field. So this time around, it might be an Intend Sim Racing well, I don't want to say blowout, but it might be a lockout here for these two drivers if they're able to continue the path that they're on. But with only 4 laps left, it might be a tall order to ask here of these two. They might just be hoping for a top 5 finish, or maybe a little bit more than that, if they can pull it off here. Jeff Schroeder, Alex Johnson, the two teammates continue to push up to the front of the field. Marian Barbaro, Alex Rivera, meanwhile, up towards the front of the field. Marian able to keep a little bit of distance between himself and the rest of the field, but Alex Rivera trying all that he can to close this gap between himself and the 13 machine, but not quite able to bring it as close as he wants. In timing and scoring showing that Marian outpacing the 222 machine just by a little bit. If even they are practically just neck and neck with one another as far as pace is concerned. Marian Barbaro still doing all that he can to keep up ahead of Alex Rivera, the 222 driver. Marian going to keep just a bit of distance as they come across the checkered line. It's 2 laps left to go here. Or rather, 3 laps left to go. Riding on the roll bar here with Alex Rivera in the 222 machine. Just getting a little bit of a deeper look here at what it's like out here on track for these drivers at this point in the race. Marian doing an absolutely incredible job keeping himself up ahead here for Team Get Good Racing. They're looking to secure a little bit more points here, and Get Good Racing holding on to 3rd in the Constructors' Championship, so they are doing quite a phenomenal job for themselves here, and only having 1 win to their name. I think adding another one to that list will be a good feeling for themselves and for the team. And give them hopefully a good bit of momentum moving forward into next week's race at Interlagos. Marian Barbaro trying to do all that he can to still hold on to this lead, and this will be, as once they come across the line, it will be the last lap here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Alex Rivera trying to do everything he can to try and get around the 13 machine, try and put a bit of pressure here. Almost wheel to wheel with these, between these two drivers. Almost touching as they go through turn 1, and there it is, the contact made to Alex Rivera, and it bundles up the field here momentarily. Jeff Schroeder now going to be hot on the heels of the leader on the final lap. The white flag is out. It is chaos here, and the chance of another win for Get Good Racing is out the door now as Alex Rivera for Noxie Motorsports retakes the lead. Jeff Schroeder for Intense Sim Racing in second, and Rachel Jimenez with Lumos E Motorsports in third at this moment. All three drivers all going to be fighting tooth and nail, as well as Marian Barbaro, Alex Johnson, who are both nearly neck and neck with one another. They are now just about halfway through the track at this moment. Alex Rivera showing some very good pace heading through the hairpin. Let's see if any driver's going to make any mistakes here through the hairpin. No, they aren't. Calm and steady is the name of the game, and that is exactly what these drivers are going to achieve here. Down the long straight, heading to the final chicane. Alex Rivera trying to break up some of the air behind him. Very easy spot to make that make an error. But here it goes. Alex Rivera across the line with Jeff Schroeder, Rachel Jimenez, second and third here today at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to conclude round number 11 for the IFL Formula 3 Series. Fantastic racing here from all drivers involved. Alex Rivera coming away with the win in the final lap of the sprint race. Fantastic work here. As we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for some post-race interviews. Going to interview our Grand Prix winner, Alex Johnson, and followed by our sprint race winner, hopefully, Alex Rivera. As we'll take a look at our sprint race results here. Alex Rivera with the win, Jeff Schroeder in second, Rachel Jimenez in third, Marian Barbaro in fourth, Alex Johnson in fifth, Frank Beezer in sixth, and Arturo Mayorga in seventh, Jake Potts in eighth, and Randolph Smith in ninth. Tristan Marshall going to be in that 10th place spot here today. And it does not seem... I don't know. All right, so we have Alex Rivera up here first in the booth, joining us for... Alex up here in the booth joining us for his post-race interview, coming away with the win in the sprint race here today. Alex, congratulations on your win. A really, really exciting final lap here for, I think, hopefully everyone watching and hopefully for yourself. I mean, this was chaos in the literal last lap of the sprint. I mean, it seemed like everything had been going well for yourself. Alex, I mean, what was kind of going through your head there once you realized that the door was open for you and you were able to take that lead?
Yeah, I'll say I was waiting for it all race. I knew I had the pace. He was driving super well, blocking me in all the right positions. So I was just waiting for that one mistake or where I could get that one run. And that last lap, I happened to get it. Not quite sure what happened. I think he probably understeered into me in the first corner. But yeah, I had the team in my ear as soon as I knew I was straight, and I was relatively undamaged, I think. They were just telling me to go and ran straight to the finish. So incredibly lucky to be relatively undamaged, and kind of sucks that the sprint race had to end like that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes that's that's unfortunately the way it goes. But hey, you know what? A win's a win. You know, as much as drivers want to have it end, you know, with a fair side-by-side race or things of that nature. But sometimes that's just not how it always ends out. But anyway, Alex, I mean, given with your team's performance here in the Grand Prix as well as here in the sprint race, with only one race left in the season before we head next week into Interlagos, I mean, what's kind of your personal goal and what's your team's goals before ending out the season here?
Yeah, so I mean, right away off the bat, we want to get the Constructors' Championship. I think it's looking good. We might have to do the math after this race, but it's looking good for us right now. So at the last race, I think all of us, we just want to do well, have fun, obviously get best positions we can get and like absolutely secure that championship. But really, just I'm gonna have some fun in that last race.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly look forward to it, and I'm sure everyone watching at home, and I'm certain a lot of your teammates look forward to it as well. But before I let you go here and celebrate, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a big shout out to Knox and Lumos. I mean, they brought me in, they got me up to speed, they've been a big help in making sure I'm fast and consistent, and all of us have been super close in pace throughout all these races. So, like, big shout out to Jakes and James, and Weston was in our ear during this race, kind of acting as an engineer, calling out and helping to keep us calm. So, great group of guys.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, I want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth, and thank you for your time, and congratulate you once again on your win here in the sprint race, and I look forward to seeing you next week in Interlagos, and hopefully get to talk to you again there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. You have a great night. Alrighty, folks, so that was Alexander Rivera coming away with the win in our sprint race here today, and up next, coming into the booth, it will be our last interview of the night here with Alex Johnson, the 196 machine. Alex Johnson coming away with the win for our Grand Prix. Yet again, Alex doing a phenomenal job as always. Not quite a similar success going into the sprint race. I'm sure you probably wanted to gain a few more positions there, but it's a tough way. It's a tough race to start all the way in 12th and only have 7 laps to work with. But anyhow, Alex, I mean, coming away with a win here and hopefully able to secure a little bit more points for yourself and Team Intense Sim Racing. With only 1 race left to go, we're heading to Interlagos next week. I mean, what's kind of your goal here, aside from hopefully taking away that Drivers' Championship and maybe even fighting for that Team Championship?
First of all, good evening. Yeah, like you said, race 1 was actually very tough until the pit stop. James obviously had a little bit of a mishap, but he was really on me there, so all credit to him. I don't think I would have had him over the next day because my rear tires were crying. The setup wasn't that great this week, but yeah, it's what it is. So yeah, race 1 was good. Race 2 obviously was a bit of a crash fest. But again, I've already sealed the Drivers' Championship, so I had nothing really to race for. So I just helped my teammate Jeff held him in front of me all the time. And we were trying to get him to win, but yeah, I was close but no cigar today. And yeah, regarding Interlagos, I will see. I think it's gonna be a real stretch to get the Nox guys now. They scored very good in the first heat. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if it's still mathematically even possible, but if it is, we're obviously gonna give it an honest shot. But yeah, I'm skeptical, but I don't give up until it's over.
Well, Alex, I think that's the best kind of optimism to have, and I mean, with the performance that yourself and your team have had in the past few races, I think you guys have given it an absolutely A+ effort. And I certainly look forward to hopefully covering more seasons with you guys, at the very least in the next season with you guys, if the admins will allow us to come back and cover more races with you guys. But Alex, I look forward to seeing you next week. And before I let you go here and celebrate, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home, anyone watching in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Of course, shout out to the team. Great job from Jeff in race 2 getting P2. Obviously a bit of luck, but takes to be there at the right time, and he certainly was. Yeah, shout out to the team, sponsors, the normal people basically.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Alex, for joining me up here in the booth today, and I look forward to hopefully get to talk to you next week, and I look forward to seeing you next week on track at Interlagos.
Yep, see you in a week.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks, so that was Alex Johnson out of the booth here. We got a couple other drivers here. We're going to have a quick word with them, starting with Mr. Jake Potts. Jake, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish in today's Grand Prix. Not quite the same going into the sprint race, but able to come away with 8th place after starting back in, I believe that was 11th, if I recall correctly. But Jake, again, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on some very good finishes here today, as well as some good points for yourself and for your team. Looking forward to next week at Interlagos, excuse me. What do you kind of hope to achieve, and do you hope that it's going to be a little bit less chaotic at Interlagos than it was here at Circuit Giles Lynette?
Yeah, I think it might be just as chaotic. It can get pretty crazy because it's pretty easy to pass around there with that big slip going down that straight. So I don't know if it'll be any less chaotic, but it should be a fun race. And just glad to get a bunch of points for the team. And I think we locked up the Constructors Championship. So shout out to Knox for 2-time season championship winners.
All right, well, that is. I certainly look forward to seeing what yourself and what your team have going into next week. But before I let you go here, Jake, and celebrate with your team and fellow drivers, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you head out?
Yeah, just a big shout out to Knox, everybody over there, James, Alex, Cody, and Weston for making it happen, for making a good season.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me up here in the booth today, and I look forward to seeing you next week and hopefully get to talk to you again there.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a good one. All right, and last and certainly not going to be least here, Mr. Jeff Schroeder coming away with a second place spot here in the sprint race. Jeff, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your podium finish here. It was a tough race out here today, but it's going to be probably a similarly tough track next week as we head to Interlagos. What's kind of your biggest concerns and what's your biggest goals heading next week into Interlagos?
Yeah, just finishing the season strong for us. I don't know if we still have a chance at the Constructors title with our team. Nox did a really good season so far, but today we got a lot of points, so I hope we could close the gap a little and then see if there is a chance to go for it. Otherwise, we already have one title with Alex, which is pretty good for the team, so yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and both yourself and Alex Johnson had in a very, very impressive run there in both the feature and as well as the Grand Prix as well as the sprint race here today. But looking forward and hopefully get to see more of that action going into next week. Jeff, before I let you go and celebrate with your teammates and get yourselves ready for next week, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you head out?
Yeah, I wanna shout out my best friend Veli Kutizi and also Marian from GitGut Racing. It was an unfortunate race for him, but still, Marian, keep your head up, man.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here, Jeff. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully I get to talk to you yourself and your team next week, and I look forward to seeing the racing with you guys next week.
Yes, I hope so. Have a good week, man.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks, and that is going to do it here for the action here today. Round number 11 for the IFL Formula 3 Series here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, do so and catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. And also, if you would like to check out some of the merchandise that we have here on our website, head over to teamgoonsquad.com. And pick up a t-shirt, pick up a sweater, pick up a coffee mug, anything that suits your flavor, and it directly helps us out here at Team Goon Squad as well as the leagues that we work with. If you pick up any league-specific merchandise, all of it, 50% of the 50% of the profits of any league merchandise goes back to the league that you are purchasing it for. So we try and do the best that we can to help out the leagues that we work with as much as we can. But anyhow, folks, that is going to do it for today. I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same place, as we head to Interlagos for round number 12, the final round here with the IFL Formula 3 Series for season number 5. Thank you all for tuning in and watching, and I will look forward to seeing you all next week.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson, 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons